Tonight on the NTV Evening News Hour. More healthcare concerns. A Grand Falls, Windsor man believes his daughter's case was mishandled.
It's an amazing toll what it's after taken.
The final GST rebates roll out before the new federal grocery benefit starts next month.
Starting July, there will be a 25% increase on what they would normally receive with that rebate going forward.
And crews mop up hotspots after fire breaks out overnight at a Corner Brook landfill.
And I'm back inside Studio 107 on NTV grounds, where it's going to be home of the Janeway Telethon. Listen to a very special family that we're going to introduce you to tonight, as we'll talk about a little bit of a cool down this evening island-wide. Full details coming up.
The award-winning NTV Evening News Hour with Tony Marie Wiseman, Michael Connors, and your weather forecast with Ryan Harding.
Good evening. We begin tonight with another story about concerns in the healthcare system.
That's right. The father of a Grand Falls, Windsor woman fighting for her life in St. John's believes her case was mishandled on the West Coast and is calling on government to fix what he calls a broken healthcare system. NTV's Rosie Mullally has tonight's top story and a warning to our viewers that some of the images in our next story may be disturbing.
It's an amazing toll what it's after taken.
With his daughter on life support at the Health Sciences Center in St. John's and most of the family back in Grand Falls, Windsor, it's been a grueling week for Paul Healy and his family. But amidst their ordeal, he's also angry and frustrated with what he says is a broken healthcare system, one he believes could have done more to help his daughter had she received the proper treatment sooner.
She was a healthy woman right up until she went in there. All of this here started from a kidney stone.
Emily Healy, a mother of 2 young children, is in the Health Sciences Intensive Care Unit after a sudden kidney infection turned critical. The infection was first detected at the Central Newfoundland Regional Healthcare Center, where Emily first visited last week, complaining of pain. She was prescribed antibiotics and sent home. But symptoms quickly worsened, and she returned to the hospital 3 days later. With no urologist available, Healy said doctors referred her to the on-call urologist at Western Memorial Regional Hospital in Corner Brook. There, she could undergo a procedure to drain the infection. The family was shocked by the response.
The doctor in Corner Brook refused to take my daughter as a patient. He denied her of that medical procedure that she needed.
Healy doesn't know why, but doesn't believe putting her off was the right thing to do. While at the Central Center, the woman spent days in a small bed in a hallway before seeing a urologist, and then being moved to ICU. When her condition continued to worsen, she was airlifted to St. John's. With her kidneys failing, Emily was in critical condition. She's since been diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disorder and is currently stable, but far from out of the woods, as she's breathing with the help of a machine. Her father is outraged that she was denied specialized treatment in the early stages of her condition.
The doctors and the nurses, both in the emergency room, or the emergency department, I should say, in Grand Falls, and also the ICU unit, told me that if this doctor would have seen my daughter, that we wouldn't be here today, that it would have been a bit better.
While Healy feels helpless with his daughter's medical condition, he says he can still use his voice to speak out.
Somebody's got to make a change in this healthcare system. Everybody in this province, every man, woman, and child knows that there's issues with the healthcare system in this province, and it's definitely got to be addressed.
Healy said whatever government is doing for health care is not enough, and he vows to continue to speak out so that no other family has to go through what his has. Rosie Mullally, NTV News.
A one-time GST-HST top-up is making its way to the bank accounts of more than 180,000 Newfoundlanders and Labradorians starting today. It's the final GST payment before Ottawa rolls out the new grocery benefit in July. NTV's Bailey Howard tells us more.
You may have woken up to some extra money in your bank account. It's the one-time GST-HST top-up.
So 180,000 Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are going to receive a payment today.
The one-time payment is the last, as it will be replaced with the Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit next month. While the program will operate under a new name, eligibility rules, payment calculations, and payment schedule will remain the same. And it's based on your 2025 tax return. But there's one major change.
Starting July, there will be a 25% increase on what they would normally receive with that rebate going forward. And that's something that they can count on as an extra help.
That means a single person could receive up to $679 between July 2026 and June 2027, while a married couple can receive up to $890. Federal Minister Joanne Thompson says Ottawa heard clearly that it's a tough time for many Canadians, with rising costs made more challenging given the geopolitical landscape.
You know, in Canada, we're facing many headwinds. We've got challenges with neighbors south of the border and you know, continue to stay at that table and work to find solutions. But we also have global challenges that are beyond our control, and it's having an impact on people's lives.
She says that's why the government wants to be responsive and offer relief to families that need it the most where possible. The first quarterly Canadian Groceries and Essentials benefit will be released in July. More details on eligibility can be found through the Canada Revenue Agency. Bailey Howard, NTV News.
The RCMP has issued a warrant for a man charged with a 2023 Happy Valley Goose Bay murder. Police have charged 30-year-old David Fauché with first-degree murder in connection with the homicide of Franz Drosch in Happy Valley Goose Bay back in August of 2023. The RCMP is now asking for your help in finding Fauché, who is the subject of a Canada-wide arrest warrant and actively evading police. Fauché, who is from Quebec, is believed to be in the Sherbrooke region. Investigators also believe he has connections to the Trois-Rivières region and Mexico. Police are warning not to approach him and to call 911 if you have any information.
Emergency personnel were actively managing hotspots for the better part of the day after a fire broke out at the Wild Cove Landfill transfer station in Corner Brook last night. The fire began around 10 o'clock last night. A water bomber flew in this afternoon to manage hotspots and to prevent any spread. Officials say the primary objective was to keep the fire from spreading into the nearby forest, which was successful. The city of Corner Brook had enacted a fire ban earlier in the day Thursday, as the fire index for much of the island was high at that time. Wild Cove will be closed to residential and commercial drop-off tomorrow, with an update on Sunday evening, but curbside garbage collection will not be affected.
The mayor of Stephenville Crossing says she's fighting for her town's economic future. As NTV's Beth Penny tells us tonight, the town council is calling on government to keep its promises for two critical infrastructure projects for their region.
It was a gut punch.
Several years of work has already gone into converting the former College of the North Atlantic building in Stephenville Crossing into a new courthouse for the Bay St. George region. But now that contract has been cancelled.
They've already invested millions of dollars. So I can't see how backpedaling now is going to save any much more money.
Stephenville Crossing Mayor Lisa Lucas says there are community members who were working on this project who are now left with unanswered questions, as well as businesses in the area who have invested time and money in anticipation of an economic boost coming to the region.
Young business people who've invested a lot of money already based on the spin-offs that they were going to receive by providing materials and whatnot to the construction of the Martin J. Gallant building.
It's not the only project promised in the region that Mayor Lucas says she's working to save. She says the current long-term care center has been there since the 70s. But when the budget was released, it wasn't clear where exactly the new long-term care center would be placed.
And I'm going to say it's our long-term care center, keeping it in our community where it belongs and where it's always been. Because if they don't, you're looking at the decimation of a community. I mean, the courthouse wasn't supposed to be a trade-off for keeping the home. It was meant to be the economic boost that our town needed to sustain us for many generations.
The province has stated the reason for cancelling the Martin Gallant building contract, as well as the new school planned for Cartwright, is due to cost overruns. The infrastructure minister says it doesn't necessarily mean these projects will never come to fruition. However, they're heading back to the drawing board. Beth Penny, NTV News.
Premier Tony Wakeham has appointed the Oversight Committee for Churchill River negotiations with Quebec. The committee will be chaired by Dan Levere, an engineer and lawyer formerly with Kiewit. Former clerk of the Executive Council, Julia Mullally, will also sit on the committee, as will former Newfoundland Power engineer Mike Jardine. The committee will monitor negotiations by receiving regular briefings from the negotiating team, then review whether the talks are reasonable and in compliance with the negotiating strategy.
Tonight's business report is brought to you by the Take Charge Business Efficiency Program. Looking for energy savings and rebates for your business? Start by talking to the Take Charge team. Despite strong job figures, North American markets end the week in the negative. The TSX fell 803 points to 34,414. The Venture Exchange down 64 points to 957. The Dow dropped 695 to 50,867, and the Nasdaq was down 1,121, falling to 25,709. Gold down $161.16 to $4,313.64 U.S. an ounce. Brent crude oil also down. It dropped $2.07 to $92.96 U.S. per barrel. The Canadian dollar down 0.22 to 71.69 cents U.S. Fortis was up. It was up $1 per share to $77.75. Labrador iron ore down 59 cents to $27.37, and Altius Minerals fell $4.06, closing the week at $55.07.
Tonight's weather brought to you by...
Check out the Chevrolet 0% event. Get 0% on select 2026 Chevrolet models and trims. See your dealer for details.
Well, the big day almost here for a fun event.
No, yes. Tomorrow, the Janeway Telethon begins. Its 42nd year.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. Ryan Harding is already there. He's early. You're a little bit early, Ryan. But he's down at Studio 107, which is otherwise known as the Janeway Telethon set. And he's got a whole lot of information. Hi, Ryan.
I sure do, about the Janeway Telethon and the weather, and we'll go in that order. So we'll start with the Janeway Telethon, and we introduced in the 5:30 you to the Lynch Adams family. You heard a little bit of their story in the 5:30 as well. So joining us, we have Hayden, and we have Hudson, and Mom Megan, and over here we have Hunter, and we have Haley, and we have the whole family up here because it takes that, doesn't it? It takes the whole family to get through things as a family, and we're going to hear a little bit more about the story. We have Hudson and Mom Megan here, first of all. And when Hudson was born with Down syndrome and had some heart complications. And we learned in the 5:30 that at that same time, Hunter had an accident. It was a dirt bike accident, found himself in the Janeway at the exact same time. So Megan, as a mother, tell me a little bit about that experience, and then we'll kind of get into how the Janeway came together for you and your family. But that must have been a lot.
It was crazy. It was literally, I was living every parent's worst nightmare because you didn't know what was going to become. Like, you got over one hurdle, and then it was just like, boom, we had this big hurdle with Hunter, but we're surviving and thriving.
Thriving indeed, and I can see that there's a lot of thriving going on here. Hudson, tell me a little bit about the day today, where, as a mother of 4, I'm sure you do split time between the kids and activities, as every parent does, but have to do that in the hospital setting. What was that like?
Well, for the first little while, Hudson and Hunter, Haley and Hayden were home with my mom and my dad and my sister. Then Hudson ended up getting sick, so he had to come and be admitted to the hospital. So he was admitted just a couple doors down from Hunter. So at one point I had 2 of them in the hospital together. But we have a huge village of people and supporters, so they helped us juggle out here and home.
So tell me a little bit about the staff at the Janeway, because I heard you talking in the background here off camera about some experiences. How was it? And how did it become imperative to, you said, succeeding and thriving, and that being the outcome?
The staff at the Janeway, they became our family, from the nurses, from the NICU to the PICU to the surgery ward. right down to rehabilitation. They became your friends, like cleaners and everything, like from bringing Hunter in burgers when he could first eat, to asking me if I needed anything, to just everything. They're so supportive, and they're a huge part of our life now and always will be.
Well, I appreciate your time, and thank you for the story. It's important to hear these stories leading into a weekend like this, especially when you're asking the province to open up and donate. It's good to see the faces, as I said before, and of course hear those stories and how the Janeway came together to help the Lynch Adams family. And I hear the Hunter's a big fly fisher, and of course from Grand Falls, Windsor, no better place to be than Grand Falls, Windsor for a little bit of fly fishing. So we'll see what the weather is going to be like in Grand Falls, Windsor here now in just a moment. But first, we'll take a look at some other communities and see how today unfolded and how the rest of the weekend will unfold as well. All right, let's dive into our map here. Take a quick peek. Where are we going first? First stop, Terranceville. No better stop. Donna Walsh sending in this photo. Yeah, there's a little bit of cloud in Terranceville today. In fact, at this hour, right around the noon hour, as the caribou grazed under the cloud, the rest of the Burin Peninsula had a whole lot of sun. That cloud was kind of in certain spots, a little more than others throughout the day. One of those clear spots, Rocky Harbor, but look at the fog wrapping around the hills here. Jackie sending that one in. No camping though, boys. Don't be at it. As beautiful spot as it would be to pitch a tent. No way. Move down a little bit further. Look at Stephenville flexing a little bit here under some extra cloud. Stephenville Beach was 14 degrees at the time of this photo. Deanne Hogan sending in that, so thank you very much. Meanwhile, we take a quick peek over into St. John's, where it is 3 degrees right now, increasing cloud. Emphasis on that north wind, 30 gusting to 40. We take a quick peek at how today unfolded. We talked about it. Yeah, 11:30 a.m., 12 degrees, 1 p.m., 4 degrees. So in 90 minutes, down we went, and of course, a degree lower here now. You can see that at 7 p.m. will be exactly that again in St. John. Still holding on to the double digits in St. Albans and parts of the south coast. We'll push it a little bit further, and we alluded to this. Labrador holding your own with the temperatures. Parts of Newfoundland, no, sir. The bottom's coming right out. -1 in Clairville through the overnight. We're close to that in St. John's. If we were to zoom in a little bit closer, which we may a little bit later, you'd see there's a few areas with the minus potential there. Gander actually being one of them. So with that, yeah, there's an advisory on the board. And yeah, it is island-wide. We'll leave Labrador out of the frost advisory. This is Newfoundland exclusive, but it is all corners of it. You can see the range 5 to -2. So looks like the warmest spots this evening that are holding is going to be Corner Brook and Port Basket, 5 and 6 degrees. The rest, yeah, we're somewhere in between. So some patchy frost expected. Cover the plants, cover the crops, and we'll be all right. We get a little bit of north wind here at 7 p.m., but that's going to die down and calm as we're starting to see that turn. Now, that looks like a low-pressure system, but it's anything but. We actually have nothing but clear skies into that hour of Saturday. As the Saturday goes on, the wind comes up from the south, and that's what's going to fuel the warm-up that you see here. So the cool start, absolutely, but then we're off to the races. A few opportunities to hit that 20-degree mark. I think Grand Falls, Windsor actually will. Hunter, you'll be happy to know. Great afternoon to cast that line out. And Happy Valley Goose Bay, the chance to hit 20 as well. So we take a look, mentioned the clear skies. So we're going to see what cloud is there this evening. Breakaway for pretty well sunrise right across the island and right across Labrador as well. As we push through into the afternoon hours later, we can't see that holds. So great, fantastic. And it warms up relatively quick. Right around 9 a.m., you're going to see a real difference between 9 and 10 a.m. Into the evening, though, the cloud does come in first on the west coast through the northern peninsula, Bayvert Peninsula. That's moving west to east, and that is allowing for what's going to be rain on the back end of the weekend here. As we move into Labrador, we're going to see less of a floor in terms of those temperatures coming down this evening. In fact, at midnight, still holding double digits, Happy Valley Goose Bay, and right there is Labrador City and Churchill Falls. I do want to draw some attention just off the coastline there. So we do see some rain potential north of Nain and just east of Makovic. It looks like that is going to stay offshore in terms of a rainfall, but with the way that the clouds are gripping the coastline there is a 40% chance of seeing some dampness in those clouds open up a little bit for some light passing showers. It's brief and it's light, and it's not 100%, but I did just want to make note of that. We do have those extra clouds through the overnight on the coastline, but they come and go throughout Saturday morning. So just like Newfoundland, Labrador here, an absolutely gorgeous start to Saturday, a whole lot of sunshine. It's a west wind for Nain, warming things up to 11 degrees. It's a southwest wind for Labrador West, keeping things warm as well. And then we're almost double digits for all, but Cartwright, you can see there is some wind off the water there, and we're going to bring back that 40% chance of some light rain before the real rain comes in a little bit later in the evening and through Sunday. So that's where we're going to focus on the next time we get together. It was the frost advisory toggled on for tonight into tomorrow morning. It's likely going to be a rainfall warning toggled on for Sunday and parts of Monday. So we'll bring you all that the next time we get together. Tony Marie, Michael?
All right, thanks so much, Ryan. A man who served 5 years for drunk driving causing death in Central is back before the courts today on firearms charges. NTV's Colleen Lewis with more.
The RCMP in Grand Falls, Windsor were called to Buckens on Wednesday for reports of a firearms-related incident and threats of harm. Police learned 50-year-old Reginald White was traveling in a vehicle and suspected to be carrying a firearm. The RCMP called in their emergency response team and police dog services, along with assistance from Springdale and Western detachments. It is not the first time Reginald White has made headlines in this province. Back in 2017, he pled guilty and was sentenced to 5 years in prison for drunk driving in the death of his cousin, Michael Pittman. Another passenger in the vehicle was left paralyzed. On Wednesday, police cautioned residents in the Buckens Junction area to stay indoors. Reginald White, who is now 50, was taken into police custody without incident. They did recover a firearm from inside the vehicle, and he's been charged with various offenses, including careless use of a firearm and possession of a weapon contrary to an existing order. He's also facing 4 counts of failing to comply with his probation order. For NTV News, I'm Colleen Lewis in Grand Falls, Windsor.
It's been a little over a year since the MSC Baltic 3 ran aground in Cedar Cove. A lengthy salvage operation has now led to a wreck removal plan, with an American-based company awarded the task to safely remove the vessel from the cove. NTV's Becky Daly brings us more on how weather will play a factor in the next steps.
Salvage crews, along with the Canadian Coast Guard, have been working towards removing what remains on the ship before the grounded vessel can be deconstructed. To date, more than 400 shipping containers and 1,700 metric tons of heavy fuel has been removed over the last year. The next challenge will be removing the vessel from a remote area.
Resolve now has the contract. They've provided a plan to remove the wreck. That involves allowing access for heavy machinery so that they can bring in their equipment. You'll see to the side of us there's a lot of chain here, so that'll be used to assist in pulling the vessel towards shore where it can be deconstructed and disposed of.
But before the company, Resolve Marine, can start deconstructing the vessel, a roadway and scrap pad has to be developed, which is already well underway. JCL Construction has been upgrading the access road from Little Port to Cedar Cove Beach to make access to the vessel more accessible, as several environmental factors are at play.
So the weather's definitely been difficult out here. I mean, as you can tell today, it's windy, so access has always been a difficult to gain onto the vessel. Initially, it was all done by marine access, so you were dealing with sea parameters, wind parameters that were just limiting contractors' abilities to get on board. There was no road access out here for any equipment, so all that has gone into this over the last year so that now they're able to board more often.
It's days like this you can see how weather can impact operations. The vessel has been battered by several storms over the last year, and its structure is starting to change.
The vessel's definitely shown the signs of experiencing heavy weather events. There's a large crack in the side of the hull there now. You can see that the stern is sitting lower.
The Canadian Coast Guard are working closely with the operation, ensuring there are no environmental hazards. Progress continues on the vessel, and at this point, a timeline of when the MSC Baltic 3 will be removed all depends on the many factors at play, like the weather. For NTV News, I'm Becky Daly in Cedar Cove.
The final headliner has been announced for the Churchill Park Music Festival. Pop star sensation Kesha will be headlining the festival on Friday, July 17th. Songs for other artists like Britney Spears, Ariana Grande, and Miley Cyrus. Kesha is the final headlining act to be announced for this year's Churchill Park Music Festival. Other headliners include the Chicks.
Still ahead in tonight's news, Amanda Muse learned some dance steps ahead of the Newfoundland Youth Ballet's first show. Ryan Harding looks at the weekend weather forecast. And when we come back on the Inside Story, good times are back again with federal-provincial relations. This is the NTV Evening News Hour. Welcome back to the NTV Evening News Hour. Tonight on the Inside Story, federal-provincial relations have their ups and downs in this province. Sometimes it's easier to work across party lines than within them. That was in evidence this week at the Energy NL conference.
People have been asking me, how do you feel about conference?
It seemed to be the key message that Federal Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne wanted to send at this week's Energy NL conference.
I would say, yeah, the tone at the top has changed. And you're right with Premier. I was just with Tony, if I may call him, Premier Wickman. We're just together, and actually, Bay du Nord is a great example.
Even in one-on-one interviews, he talked about how good relations are between the federal and provincial governments.
You know, Tony and I, we text each other quite regularly.
It hasn't always been that way. Former Premier Danny Williams famously went to war with Liberal and Conservative governments in Ottawa over the Atlantic Accord and equalization. Efforts to patch things up within the Conservative movement often fell apart. It wasn't until 2015 ushered in Liberal governments in both Ottawa and St. John's that relations got good again. But as the years passed, the provincial Liberals drifted away from their federal cousins on issues like the carbon tax and once again equalization, filing a court challenge.
This is about fairness.
But now, with Tories in St. John's and Liberals in Ottawa, relations have oddly gotten good again, to the point that the provincial Tories, most historically prone to go to war over equalization, actually dropped the court challenge.
We all like to fight and we all like to get more for the province, but I think upon analysis and consultation, they felt there's better energies being used to work with the federal government.
Now, with a Bay du Nord decision on the horizon and negotiations set to resume with Quebec for Churchill Falls, it's all talk about good relations again.
What we see now from this Prime Minister is a recognition of what this province can contribute to Canada. We've always known that. We always have talked about the resources that we have. I mean, we started off with our fishery and hydro and everything else, but to hear a Prime Minister talk about oil and gas, to be there, to be able to work with them, to work with the Minister of Energy, who I just met with, and the Prime Minister, to actually get Bay du Nord done and get that, that was something that they stepped up and committed to.
Some good news to share on the labor front tonight. Canada added 88,000 new jobs last month, beating expectations. The overall unemployment rate also fell. It now sits at 6.6%. CTV's Jeremy Sharon now with a closer look at the numbers and what they show.
Fresh baked goods rising in demand. In this Ottawa bakery just months after laying someone off, Jordan Pett is hiring again.
Looking to, grow our menu and keep it steadily growing and hopefully grow our team more as well.
According to Statistics Canada, the country's economy added 88,000 jobs in May, driving unemployment down 0.3% to 6.6%, outperforming forecasters' predictions.
The numbers today were strong enough to reverse most of the losses that brewed in the data to start the year.
Full-time employment drove the gains, while part-time jobs took a drop. Unemployment among youth is down 0.9%, but still above 13%.
Because we deal with thousands of businesses, to place youth into businesses
we saw optimism, and thankfully the numbers have proven that out today.
Specifically, students are off to a better summer job season than last year, which was the worst in nearly a decade.
Part of that fall in the unemployment rate is a fall in youth participation. And it's not exactly clear why fewer youth are participating in the labor force.
The data comes on the heels of a GDP report from the same department last week that showed Canada has entered a technical recession, which the Conservative Party remained focused on today.
It's very clear in the numbers that we're in recession. What we're seeing in the job numbers is that we're significantly worse off than the pre-pandemic averages.
While the government says Canada's economy is moving in the right direction.
The numbers that you saw this morning on employment shows that the Canadian economy is resilient.
While economists are calling today's report a positive signal, they say it is too early to tell whether Canada's economy will continue on this positive path. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, Ottawa.
Tonight's weather brought to you by Come From Away Gander. 25 years ago, the skies closed on 9/11. This is the story of the town that opened its doors.
Today's going to be a cold one in Gander this evening. It's going to be about -1 Gander through to Clarenville. We'll talk about that in just a little bit, but first we'll open up the rest of the country, see how our family and friends are doing across this vast land of ours. Hey, we move over into Vancouver. Some passing rain, 16 degrees, the sun's shining through, and we're anticipating that rain in Calgary. It could get held up in the mountains. It looks like it will actually, and push up into Fort McMurray. 16 degrees with a chance of a flash of lightning and clap of thunder in there as well. We go back into the 20s across the rest of the prairies and into northern Ontario, and then we jump up to 29 in Toronto, 26 in Montreal. It's 21 with sun and cloud in Halifax. And that looked nice. 13 through PEI, 16 in Lab City looks pretty good too. So does the 10 degrees in Nain. We're dancing around that 3 and 4 degree mark in St. John's. So we don't usually talk about this in the summer months. That seems more like a winter activity, doesn't it? But yeah, Labrador, you can see the northern lights tonight. Absolutely. Parts of the northern peninsula right on the low portion of that viewpoint of those lights dancing about. Listen, get your cameras out. It's going to be a clear night. You may see it. If you do, send in some photos. 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., the best chance to see just that. I mentioned not the time of year we usually talk about that. It's not the time of year that we defrost planes. But sure, look, here we are. This out in Gander. Mentioned it was going to be a little bit cooler there tonight as well. So yeah, it could be something tomorrow morning too if you're flying out. We look at a wind chill 11 p.m. this evening. Yeah, it's going to feel like -2 in St. John's, -1 in Bonavista. It will allow some areas to catch up through the overnight and into tomorrow morning where that -2 wind chill does hold in Gander. All right, let's take a quick peek and see some good news because there is that in there as that wind shifts south and southwest as we showed you a little earlier, getting us all the way to 16 in St. John's, 19 in Clarenville. I think we might hit the 20 mark in Gander when it's all said and done. So frost advisory in the night, 20 degrees in the afternoon. What a place. We move over a little further west. There's the 20-degree potential in Lewisport through Grand Falls, Windsor, 18 in Corner Brook, and 17 in St. Anthony. All right, let's take a look at those daytime highs in Labrador. The only 20 on the board comes in Happy Valley Goose Bay, but pretty close behind is Churchill Falls and Labrador City. That rain you see in those icons, a little later in the evening. So a day spent sun and cloud as shown here. Saturday morning, a whole lot of sun. And then it looks like that cloud is going to start to roll through into the evening. And we mentioned the rain, so we can take a look. Yeah, it's light in Labrador City, light in Happy Valley Goose Bay. We're going to pick some up on the south coast, but by Sunday morning, we're well into it for the west coast of Newfoundland, the Bay Verte Peninsula. And that is going to trend really in one direction. You can see because that wind is shifting from the east, so that's pushing back against it. So that's keeping most of that rain off of the Avalon with the heaviest stuff on the west coast, Bay Verte Peninsula, and about halfway up the northern peninsula. It lasts through most of Sunday and does shift over. It looks like there's a little bit behind it, which is going to trickle into pretty well all regions of the island in through Monday. In terms of that total for Sunday, yeah, there's some big ones out there. We do have the chance to hit the 50-millimeter mark on the west coast. We're in that 30 to 40 range for the Bay Verte Peninsula and a lot of central. We see the Burin Peninsula picking up some as well. A lot of that coming in the evening, and you can see that that does lighten over the Avalon. But again, Sunday is a day well spent with the Janeway Telethon right on the couch. So you take a quicker, closer look at some of those totals, some high ends for Fogo Island and parts of the Kittiwake Coast as well. We'll quickly give you the 5-day forecast. There's not much to it, Buzz, other than rain. So it looks like that for the eastern side, yeah, Sunday night, Picks up on Monday, lasts through Tuesday, although a little bit lighter, which will trickle into the Wednesday, and then maybe then we'll welcome back the sun and clouds. So what I see in this is enjoy the Saturday. And South Coast, much the same. You get a little bit of an earlier break from it on the Wednesday at 13 degrees over into Central. Same thing. So Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Once that rain starts on Sunday, it's here for a bit of a spell. But we do get the temperatures back slightly on Tuesday and then in full on Wednesday. Very similar out into the West Coast. Looks to leave a little earlier, so maybe some extra sun on the back end there on Tuesday, and then the 20-degree potential on the Wednesday. Up into the Northern Peninsula, the temperatures aren't there past the Saturday, and it looks very similar with that rain pattern. Up into the South Coast of Labrador, looks like we're staying dry for some of it. Again, Red Bay through to Mary's Harbor, I do think there's a little rain in there for you that's not showing up on these icons, and we just saw that on the radar together. So the temperatures in and around the 10-degree mark as an average, and the bottom is 9 and the top is 15 on the Saturday. A little extra warmth on the Monday for the North Coast at 17 degrees, but Sunday night looks to cool down to +1 into Happy Valley Goose Bay. 320-degree potential, some light rain on the Sunday, which we showed on the radar there. 2 to 4 millimeters is what we're talking. And in terms of that rain late Saturday for Labrador West, same, 2 to 4 millimeters, and then quite the stretch in that 5-day forecast. Sunday through to Wednesday, 19 the low, 24 the high.
Carolina Hurricanes completed the comeback to take a thrilling 4-3 win over the Vegas Golden Knights in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final. Here are the highlights.
In the third, Logan Stankoven breaks through for the Canes with a little luck on his side, deflects off Jeremy Lauzon, and in it goes for his 10th of the playoffs. You take it any way you can get it. Hurricanes 8-0 when Stankoven scores this postseason. Just over 2 minutes after that, William Carrier wins the puck battle, sets up Mark Jankowski, and we got a tie hockey game. His first of the postseason, and there is life in Carolina, and it devolves into absolute chaos because Carolina turns it over. Ivan Barbashev tries the wraparound on Freddie Anderson, which does eventually cross the goal line, but it's waved off. So Vegas would challenge, but the call stands since it was determined that Barbashev shoved Anderson's glove. Carolina now heads to the power play after the Golden Knights lose the challenge, and its captain Jordan Stahl giving Carolina their first lead of the game. The 37-year-old is the second oldest player scorer in the first 2 games of the Stanley Cup Final. However, it's Vegas with the empty net. Mark Stone on the rebound, buries. We got Marner with another assist, 17 in the postseason. The Vegas watch party is loving every single second of what they see, and we're going to need some overtime, and it's the Canes on the power play.
If they score the game winner in overtime, Goss to spare. They score! Seth Jarvis quiets the critics and ignites the crowd.
Jarvis becomes the 6th player on record to score an overtime goal on the power play in the Cup Final. Just a wild finish as the Hurricanes even up the series.
We're going to take a break on the NTV Evening News Hour. Do stay with us. When we come back, Amanda Muse learns to plier at a local dance company.
Your community, brought to you in part by Atlantic Lottery's iGames. Play hundreds of games on the Atlantic Lottery app or at alc.ca.
A new nonprofit youth ballet company is staging its first show this weekend. NTV's Amanda Muse is in your community with the details.
We are here at a rehearsal for an upcoming show. We are here with the artistic director of the Newfoundland Youth Ballet and a big, exciting inaugural show coming up on Sunday at the LSPU Hall. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about the Newfoundland Youth Ballet.
Yes, this is our inaugural season. Newfoundland Youth Ballet is a not-for-profit. And the goal of it is to develop a sense of community amongst our youth who are just very passionate about ballet and just give them an enhanced experience that's not affiliated with any one particular studio. There's no dance competitions, and it's just something a little different.
So this ballet, I mean, it really brings together dancers from all over.
It really does, and we are so grateful to all of the amazing dance teachers and their respective dance studios who they train these dancers, and they have done such a beautiful, wonderful job. And we just wanted to recognize that, because without them, seasons would look very different.
Molly, how long have you been dancing?
I've been dancing since I was 2 years old.
What drew you to be a part of this Newfoundland Youth Ballet?
I saw it on social media, and I asked my mom to audition for it, and yeah.
How are you enjoying it so far?
I love it. I just love Miss Beth. She's amazing.
What makes her such a great teacher?
She's just so funny and carefree, and I just love her.
She makes dancing fun?
Yeah, she really does.
Where it is a not-for-profit, we want to bring together dancers who are passionate about ballet. I mean, we have some of our members coming from Clarenville. We have people from the East End of St. John's, the West End, the All Ends, Mount Pearl, Paradise, beyond CBS, Flat Rock, And what I love is that we just all come together, at the Arts and Culture Center in the dance space, which is a neutral dance space for us all, and we're just building something special together.
Tippies?
Yeah.
So this coming show, your first show at the LSPU Hall, it's seasons, which is beautiful in a couple ways. So tell me a little bit about how you came to come up with this as your first show, what it represents.
Certainly. So what I was particularly passionate about is the fact that all the dancers are in different seasons of their development. So, I mean, when you're in grade 5, you're in a different place from when you're in grade 12. And we are so fortunate to have guest performers as well outside of Newfoundland Youth Ballet. Mosaic Dance Company, they are going to be performing, and also the trainee program from Kittiwake Ballet will be performing. So we've got 3 organizations with wonderful dancers at different stages, different ages, and I just think that's a really beautiful thing.
And I do love that I was just noticing the costumes are representative of the seasons. And what kind of music and dance can we expect to see?
The music that we are using for seasons, it's Max Richter's interpretation of Vivaldi's Four Seasons. And in terms of the dancing, there's things you would look at and go, oh yes, that is quite clearly classical ballet, and then there's some more contemporary movements in there as well.
Now, if people want more information about the Newfoundland Youth Ballet itself, where can they go to find information about that?
Certainly. So you can look us up on social media, Newfoundland Youth Ballet, and for tickets for our upcoming show, you can see the LSPU Hall, or I love Call the Hall. We have 2 shows on Sunday, one at 5 p.m. and one at 7 p.m.
Thank you so very much, Beth.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Pants my grip. Let's try that again. Okay, we'll get my pants loosened up. All right. And that's what's happening here in your community. I'm Amanda Muse. How did I do?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Pretty good.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you, Anna.
The late, great Robin Williams is returning to theater. CNN's David Daniel explains in our Hollywood Minute.
His father is in the arts. You do an eclectic celebration of the dance. You do Fosse, Fosse, Fosse. You do Martha Graham, Martha Graham, Martha Graham. Or Madonna, Madonna, Madonna. But you keep it all inside.
The Birdcage is back for its 30th anniversary. The award-winning comedy starring Robin Williams and Nathan Lane returns to theaters on Sunday, June 7th and Wednesday, June 10th. Check fathomentertainment.com for locations and showtimes.
The only thing we have left is hope.
Now that The Boys is over, fans can grab a piece of the popular show. Prop Store and Sony Pictures Television are auctioning off more than 450 pieces of super swag, including costumes worn by Anthony Starr's Homelander, Erin Moriarty's Starlight, Carl Urban's Billy Butcher, and Jack Quaid's Huey Campbell, as well as a set of glasses featuring The Seven. The auction runs through June 30th, with part of the proceeds going to support health care for people in need.
Our mother has a fever.
The deserts are expanding rapidly.
I know what you're thinking. Not another depressing climate documentary. Well, This film is different.
Groundswell looks at regenerative agriculture, which promotes biodiversity. The idea is to heal the planet by healing the soil and feed the world in the process. Groundswell, narrated by Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson, premieres on Prime Video Friday. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Stay with us while we take one more break on the NTV Evening News Hour. Ryan Harding will be back to recap the weather forecast. Nice and sunny out, not quite as warm though. And when we return, Jim Furlong will have Today in History.
Welcome back to the NTV Evening News Hour. His death marked the end of an era in American politics. Here now is Jim Furlong with Today in History.
On the 5th of June in 2004, Ronald Wilson Reagan died, former President of the United States. He was the 40th president. He died after a long struggle with Alzheimer's disease. Reagan, who was a well-known actor, served as governor of California as well. He was a popular president known for restoring American confidence, now after the problems of 1970s. He was an actor by trade. That didn't keep him from the White House. First he was governor of California, then president. President of his student council in high school. He starred in football, basketball, and track, and he acted. Now people scoffed when he became president, but there was a good argument that America came back, so to speak, under his leadership. He seemed to talk common sense. Eventually, after he left the White House, he was overcome by Alzheimer's disease. But he died on the 5th of June in 2004. And you know, that's this date in history. This is Jim Furlong reporting.
In our MQO question of the week, we ask, do you support the province restarting negotiations with Hydro-Quebec on Churchill Falls? To vote, call 1-855-279-7887 or go online at ntv.ca/QOW. We'll have the results on Monday.
Birthdays and anniversaries brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation. We are the foundation that takes action so we all can take care of each other.
And look at this. We're going to begin birthdays and anniversaries tonight with this beautiful photo of George and Mary Bursey getting married. And they've been married now for 62 years. Congratulations to you. They got married in heart's content. Stuart Payne is celebrating a big 94th birthday. Congratulations, sir. Charlie Shave from Belle Island, now living in British Columbia, celebrating a 90th birthday. Pearl King of Deer Lake is celebrating a 90th birthday as well. Happy 50th wedding anniversary to Dave and Irma Sutherland of Rocky Harbor. Happy anniversary to John and Margaret Chafe of Gould, celebrating their 67th tomorrow. John and Malene Noseworthy celebrating a 60th wedding anniversary. Happy 59th anniversary going out to Matt and Bertha Kelly from Port au Choix. Wallace Le Boubon is celebrating a 95th birthday, originally from Pasadena, now living in Corner Brook. Ruby and Davis Pollum celebrating their 59th wedding anniversary. Happy 59th anniversary as well to Terry and Dorothy Sims. They live in Corner Brook. Clyde and Beverly Hillier of Grand Bank celebrating a 50th anniversary. Happy 56th anniversary to Donna and Norm Hiscock. Isa and Eugene Humby are celebrating a big 59th wedding anniversary with their own photo there. That's so sweet. Doug Butler is celebrating a big 90th birthday tomorrow. Congratulations, sir. Happy 94th birthday to this gentleman. This is Everett Gregory, who is currently living at Kingsway Living in Lewisport. Congratulations to you, Mr. Gregory. Teresa Duke of Freshwater Placentia celebrating a 91st birthday. Happy 67th anniversary to Bob and Emily Bailey in Masonic Park. Lloyd Osmond is celebrating a big 93rd birthday. Happy 100th birthday to Bertha Noble from all of her friends in St. Anthony. Congratulations to you. Sears and Carolyn Keating are celebrating a 55th wedding anniversary. Happy 60th anniversary going out to Glennis and Jerry Fury. Ruth Brown of South River celebrating a 94th birthday. Happy 50th anniversary to Brad and Laura Denty. Happy 62nd wedding anniversary to Dora and Eric White. Gus and Rosemary Kenny of Corner Brook celebrating a 72nd wedding anniversary. Happy 62nd anniversary going out to Betty and Dave Murphy. They live in Grand Falls, Windsor. Shirley Pond is celebrating a big 90th birthday. Congratulations. Happy 51st anniversary to Margie and Herb Dix. And finally this evening, happy 52nd wedding anniversary going out to Gerald and Joan Howlett, or Howlett, I should say. Congratulations to you both.
Well, happy anniversary, happy birthday to you all, happy Friday, and happy Janeway Telethon weekend. We're in for a fun one Saturday night all through Sunday. Remember, frost advisory on the board for all of Newfoundland this evening. Not quite cooling down as much in Labrador, but by tomorrow, let's call it 9 to 10 a.m., we're pretty well even Stevens across the province and warming up with that southwest wind. And just to keep in mind, again, a likely rainfall alert going to be toggled on Sunday for the west coast and parts of the Bayvert Peninsula and northern peninsula. And a bit of an east wind cooling things down as well. And we'll get together again on Monday. We'll see you tomorrow, Tony Marie and Michael.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Ryan. And before we go, Ryan, we've got another birthday, of course, I want to mention. That's Michael's. Michael's birthday is today.
It is today, yes, thank you.
And congratulations to you.
Thank
Another
you very
big
much.
milestone. We won't say what it is unless you want to.
I'm 50.
Yay! We're in the same decade, at least for a little tiny bit.
Yes.
I know, it's awesome. Anyway, Ryan, yes, we will see you tomorrow at the Janeway Telethon, and we want everyone to tune in again tomorrow and Sunday for the 42nd annual Janeway Telethon. Good night.
Stay with us. Global National is next.